Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So today we'll be talking about a very beautiful and chubby succulent called as the moonstone. I was very curious to know why it is called as moonstone, so a quick internet search and this is what I got to know. Now the leaves of this succulent are like pebbles, they're shaped like pebbles. They have this powdery coating which is farina, which looks like moon dust. Apart from that, you can see the color of the leaves are bluish to grey in color and resembles a lot like pebbles or stones from the moon. I'm not quite sure how true or how authentic the information is, but sounds very interesting. Now talking about the care requirement is very simple. They do not like to be watered quite often. You'll realize the leaves are very thick, they are very chubby, which means that there is a lot of space in the leaves to store water. Now you can see this succulent was also not watered for a really long time, and you can see it's doing quite well, but not in the best condition because as you know I was away from home, but still the succulent is doing quite well. You can see the leaves are very thick, they can store a lot of water, so this succulent can be underwatered. Talking about the soil requirements, it remains the same as what we use for our other succulents. The soil has to be loose, porous and well draining. Now guys, if you want to know how to make the soil, I will put the link in the description below. You can check how to prepare your own succulent soil mix. Now guys, ideally the best way to notice if your succulent needs water or not is by checking the leaves. In case if you happen to see wrinkles on the leaves, it is time to water. Now I have put the clip on the screen. You can check on the right hand side. You can see how wrinkled the moonstone is. This indicates that the succulent is getting dehydrated and is in need of water. So this is the best way. In case if you're confused about watering, always check for the wrinkles on the lower leaves. However, as I said, it is not necessary that you have to water it very frequently because this particular succulent can store a lot of water. Now because this succulent belongs to the genus of Pachyphytum, so they tend to go dormant during the summers. So please do not use any fertilizers during the summers and ensure that you do not overwater the succulent. Now talking about pest attack, I haven't seen any pest attack on this particular variety of succulent, which indicates that it is quite resilient to pest attacks. But ensure that you give it a good amount of morning direct sunlight or indirect bright light for longer hours, because this succulent does not prefer to be kept in shade or indoors. Ensure that you give a good amount of morning direct sunlight or indirect afternoon sunlight, but you have to ensure that there is a good amount of light at all given point of time, otherwise the succulent will start to stretch. So if you're just starting off with succulents, or if you're a beginner, you can start with this succulent because as I said, it's very easy to take care, does not require a lot of watering, very easy to maintain. So if you are a beginner, you can go for this succulent. Now guys, talking about propagation, there are a couple of ways you can propagate this succulent. It's very easy to propagate them. The first method, now this is an old moonstone that I had, and as you can see the stem has started to bend over. So I'll do a stem cutting on this particular succulent and show it to you how. Apart from that, this succulent can also be separated from the mother plant. In case if you have a decent size of pups attached to the mother plant, you can separate them. You can see how chubby the leaves are. The leaves do have a lot of storage space for water, hence they do not require a lot of water. This is a small little pup. You can see how healthy it is and it can be easily separated from the mother plant. So let me quickly go ahead and give a stem cutting. Ensure that the cutting material, whatever you tend to use, scissors, blade or knife, has to be sterilized before giving it a cut. Now there is something I noticed when I did a cutting, because the succulent was bending onto the pot for a really long time. I noticed that the stem was damaged and it was drying out. Now guys, you need to understand the difference between stem rot and the stem getting dried. Over here, initially when you tend to look at the stem, it tends to look like the stem is rotting, but this is because the succulent was bending onto the pot for a really long time. And because there was so much of pressure on the stem, probably it got damaged, and over the period of time that part of the stem started to dry. Now the reason why this is not rot, because when you tend to press a stem that has rot, it's going to be very mushy, it's going to be very soft, but this is completely opposite. Now again, I'm not going to leave it as it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the dry part because it's of no use, And over the period of time, if you're going to leave it as it is, what's going to happen is you will find a lot of aerial roots. The reason is because the succulent can no longer absorb water from the roots because the stem is getting disconnected. So it is going to put out a lot of aerial roots. So it's better that you go ahead and cut off the dry part so that the succulent can grow healthy. Now over here, I'll quickly do a cut and then I will check the stem once again if there is any browning that is still present on the stem. As you can see, everything is fine. So now I have to just let it callus and wait for the aerial roots to appear. So the remaining part of the stem that is present in the pot, I'm going to cut it off as well and ensure that there is no more drying part left on the stem. Now I'm not going to uproot the stem from the pot because I'm going to leave it as it is. Over time, if the stem is still very healthy, it is going to put out a lot of pups. So I'm going to leave the remaining part of the stem in the pot. So guys, these are the different ways that you can propagate. One is stem cutting, one is separating the offsets from the mother plant. You can see this is a very well mature pup that we have over here. Always wait for the pups to reach to a decent size before separating them from the mother plant. Now there are a couple of other ways as well. You can even propagate the leaves of moonstone and they also tend to put out a lot of pups. Now if you want to know the detailed video on propagation of moonstone via leaves, I will put the link in the description below. You can check it out. So let me quickly show you how the dry stem looks like. And this is not a rot, because if it was a rot, the stem would have been very soft and mushy. But here, as you can see, the stem is very stiff. It's very dry. When I tend to break it, there is hardly any moisture or water inside the stem because it was starting to dry. But if this was a rot, it would have been very difficult to even touch the stem because it would just got smashed in the hand. Now this is how the dry part looks like. You can see this. So these are all the methods that you can propagate and multiply your moonstone. As I said, the leaf propagation is going to take a lot of time. So it's always best to go for a stem cutting or to separate it from the offset. And that works out really fast as compared to leaf propagation. And this is how it tends to look like when the moonstone is dehydrated completely. You can see the amount of wrinkles that are present on the leaves, and this is how it usually tends to look. Now guys, remember, as I said, after doing stem cutting, all you have to do is just keep it aside. It takes a couple of days. Again, it depends upon your environment and climate, but they tend to put out aerial roots quite quick. Here, as you can see, the amount of aerial roots on this moonstone, and the cut part is also dried. So usually this is how you can air root the moonstone and then put it into the soil. So apart from all this, you might have also come across some sellers selling succulents like pink moonstone or red moonstone. Now, however, there are no pink or red moonstones. It's only one moonstone that we have, which is bluish in color. The other succulents that are mislabeled and sold as pink or red belong to a different variety and a different genus of succulents. They are not moonstones. However, they tend to resemble a lot like moonstones, but there is only one variety, which is this one. So guys, I hope that you like this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.